Now they lost it on the 40 acres on campus grounds. We gather round, discussing goals and dreams and life's adventures. The Texas Longhorns, they're the talk of the town. High castles of the 40 acres, where we dive deep into the game day stories. From touchdowns to heartbreakers, we discuss it all. Texas Longhorns glory. Here we gather round each Thursday night, talking sports. It's so alright. From football to basketball, baseball to softball, Tim Wayne and Harry, we cover it all. Sports talk is our passion, our delight. Thursday night at 8:30, we unite. We discuss the scores, the plays, the teams who might. Let's dive into the game, let's ignite.
12 conference champions.
Yo, what up? What up? It's your boy Harish, my boy Tim Wayne on a Thursday afternoon show before the Mavericks tip off for the season. What's up, Tim Wayne? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm not as pumped as you. You know, basketball season it's all right for me. I do like the addition of that boy Klay Thompson to the team. So I'm hoping that he has a similar career that he did in at Golden State. So see what happens, man. Like I said, I like the Mavericks. I'm not a super fan like you. I don't really have a basketball team, so I try to look and find a team to root for. Of course, you know, I'm not hopping on the bandwagon. I was rooting for Boston. I rooted for Boston 10, 12 years ago. I've been there, done that. Ain't doing that no more. They don't got nobody I like over there. They got fake Kobe Bryant over there, so it's all good.
Oh, you mean Jason Tatum, who's the superstar that's not really a superstar?
This Jason Tatum, the guy that pretends to be everybody except Jason Tatum. Yes, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I like Jaylen Brown, though. I really like Jaylen. I love Jaylen.
I like Jaylen Brown. I want to see Jaylen Brown on a different team.
Me too.
I think Jaylen
Brown.
I think if you get the right pieces around Jaylen Brown, it could be a situation where they go to the conference championship or the NBA finals like multiple years in a row. If you get them around the right pieces.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see how that packs out. We jumped on Sunday afternoon and we talked a lot about the breakdown of Texas and Georgia. We'll kind of touch on that a little bit. And then, we'll dig right into Vanderbilt. And really the goal today is how does Texas rebound? There's a lot of questions. Now, there's a couple things that we know about this Texas team at this point, right? The number one thing I want to call out is the defense is elite. Nobody can no longer tell me the defense is not an elite defense. Given the cards that they were dealt and the deck that they were dealt, that defense played very well on Saturday. Now, if there's still an issue with that defense, it's that interior line, and Georgia kind of exposed that a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, they're going to need to do some work on the interior line.
But can we be honest? There's not too many there's not too many Etienne juniors out there.
No, fair enough. No. And I completely agree with that. And we'll talk about this in the Vanderbilt section. I know your guy Alexander over there is LBJ guy. Even he only think average is like 4 yards carry or 3.5 yards carry, but it's
Right.
very downhill, very
He's a hard runner. He's a hard runner.
physical, right?
Yeah.
Um, DG, what's up, man? What's up, fellas? How you doing, bro? How you doing? Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. If you don't mind going to the YouTube, liking, subscribing, and commenting there, we'd really appreciate it. But we
Yes,
happy for
sir.
you to join us. And
Thanks,
the Chiefs, I see the Chiefs profile pic. Congratulations on DeAndre Hopkins. Rich, just keep getting richer, man.
and striking it on Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. You know what? I wish I had a GM like the Chiefs. My GM just sits on his ass all day and sleeps.
Well, I'm a Cowboys fan. Do you know what the headline
You have
was?
the ultimate GM.
Do you know what the headline has been all week? Oh, your your GM / owner is criticizing your head coach. Like,
You mean the one
he
he
hasn't
hired?
done his job. He hasn't done his job. Well, see, I guarantee you, if they can come in here and beat up on an old 49er team that's banged up and depleted, everything will be just fine. So, but yeah, Harish dipped out here for a second, so we'll wait till he gets back here. On another note, again, make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Longhorn Fan Battle. We listen, if you're in there, if you're on Twitter and you want to talk some trash, my man Harish here is the guy you want to talk trash to. I'm personally am not the trash talker. I usually try to go a little bit more lighthearted. I might comment on a couple of things, but nothing too crazy. Also, make sure you guys follow us on YouTube at Longhorn Fan Battle. Again, we're trying to get our subscriber count up there. So again, those guys that are listening to us on Twitter, make sure you jump on over there and just log in. Oh, snap. Thanks for DJ DG for hitting us up
Appreciate that,
on
bro.
YouTube, jumping over there. We really do appreciate that, man. Like you have no idea.
Awesome. Oops. Sorry.
Well, now that we've paid the bills, I guess we can get back into it. Again, we covered most of it on Sunday. After a live reaction, it was, and again, after emotions settle and everything kind of the dust settles and everything clears. I mean, hey Harish, I think you would agree with this. The Longhorns just got punched in the mouth, right? You didn't show up from an offensive line perspective. And you guys, if for you guys that know us, we all know that the offensive line is the most important part. The offensive and defensive line are some of the key components of the game. Quinn never really got into a rhythm. Neither did they tried to switch it up, throw Arch in there. Arch never really got an opportunity to get any rhythm. The offensive line started to settle down more in the second half. We saw that a little bit more. We were seeing, a little bit more of an opportunity to run the ball. We seen that. We did again, with Quinn not being on key and on point in that offense, not being clicking on all cylinders. We didn't get to see the Quinn Ewers of old that we're normally used to seeing. We didn't get to see the receivers of old that we're used to seeing. So, again. And I just think it's about responding this week. You know what I'm saying? I want to see how it responds. And I was thinking about this, Harish, you can go into this. You can kind of piggyback off this and tell me how you feel about this. Every team that we've seen, every national champion, every contender has had some type of adversity. Georgia, they were national champions at one point in time. They ran into situations. They get beat by Georgia, not Georgia. They get beat by Alabama in 2018. Coach Saban makes the switch at halftime, brings in Tua. Tua starts throwing darts everywhere, and they lose the national championship. Then they backdoor. They come back. They win a national championship. They lose out on an opportunity to win the national championship because they lose to Alabama last year. So, and I'm only talking about Georgia because Georgia and Michigan, I don't really think Michigan ran into anything crazy. They had some low scoring games, but I'm thinking about Georgia because I would say Georgia is more of the powerhouse of now, where they run into some adversity, and whether it be losses or whether it be losing key players to graduation in the NFL. all of these things happen, and it really depends on how you respond in adversity. This is a loss, and is it a big loss? Yeah, because it was on the biggest stage. You lost on a primetime game, and you got punched in the mouth. So you have an opportunity to respond. You got to go to Vanderbilt. They're going to be licking their chops because Vanderbilt isn't a freebie anymore. You just don't go to Vanderbilt and get a freebie anymore. You know what I'm saying? And DG said we got to come out locked in. I need to see some offensive line and have a good bounce back game. I agree. But Harish, what do you think? We talk about the offenses in the Texas of old. Even when they were winning national championships, I think about the Oklahoma State game. Vince Young, they go into Oklahoma State. They go down by 35 points, and they managed to come back off one of the craziest games we've ever seen. The Texas Tech game, I think about that. Not the one with Michael Crabtree,
Sam
but
Ellinger game.
right. That game,
that was crazy.
I think about that game.
Last 2 minutes of that game was nuts.
I think about the Kansas game with Vince, and they go down. They go up to Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas. That Kansas team was good. That was
the one under what's that guy? That head coach's name?
Big dude. I can't remember his name. Heavy set dude.
Oh shoot, he was awesome. Big dude.
Yeah. He was at
Mangini. Eric Mangini.
Eric Mangini. Yeah, Eric Mangini. And they go up to Kansas, man, and they don't have a great game. Vince Young completes a 20-yard run on 4th down. If they don't get that 20-yard run, they lose the game. So, and that again, we would say, and this team has been talked about ad nauseum. We don't have to go into it, but that's voted one of the greatest college football teams of all time. So you're gonna they've run into adversity, and here we are, 20 some odd years later. And we're running to, a loss here at Georgia in our own stadium where we don't normally lose those type of games. So, Harish, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think? I mean, I think everybody has calmed down. I think the emotions have subsided now. And what are your thoughts on that since we've had that show on Sunday?
Yeah. By the way, Mark Mangino, not Eric Mangino.
Mark Mangino.
Eric Mangini was an idiot. A couple of things here, right? Texas needs to get the running game. This offense has to play well.
Yeah.
Zero excuses. Quinn has to be better. The running game needs to be reestablished. And I think you do that by getting Jaden Blue out in space and letting him be the guy. You need to go back to Jaden Blue being your guy and trust that he's not going to fumble the ball. From a running perspective, he's your best running back that you've got on this roster. That's healthy.
Trey's been a very, very good focal point. Trey's
been good. Trey's great in bursts, but he's not a running back.
Do you think he has the potential to be a running back one?
Maybe. I mean, if he develops, we'll see how he develops in the offseason. It's possible. Anything's possible, right? But Cedric Baxter is coming back.
Yeah.
You're also getting Christian Clark coming back. We'll see how he heals from his injury, right? And Achilles is very tricky.
Right.
But I don't know, right? Looking at the film, right? I think there's a couple of plays maybe Kelvin Banks didn't play well on, and it was the corner blitz and that caused the fumble, right? But that's and then there's a couple times that Williams got past him and forced some trouble. Look, that Georgia defensive line did some crazy stuff. You think about going back and watching some clips. You think about the DB, the first interception Quinn has, right? The DB looks like he's taking Helm over the top. He shades down and he actually catches the interception. If Quinn waits one more second before throwing that ball, like tenth of a second, he'll know that Gunnar Helm peels off and he has him wide open.
Right.
The play in the red zone where Quinn kind of trips himself up and runs into Kelvin Banks. He has an opportunity to step up in the pocket. We kind of reviewed that play on the show on Friday. On Sunday. Listen, this is not stuff that's like world beating. This is still a very good football team.
Yeah, yeah,
And if
yeah.
you guys remember in our preseason show, and even last week, I said Texas was going to lose this game. I did not think they were going to win this game, and that's not because I didn't believe in Texas, right?
Right.
It is just the nature of the beast in the SEC.
Yeah.
When you go to a game, right? When you have a rivalry like the Red River rivalry and the emotions that are there and all the hoopla and all that good stuff, and now you're talking about you got to come back and go play Georgia at home.
Yeah.
You got to resettle in quickly. There's no bye. Usually Texas has a bye week last week, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have that this year. So now this is the SEC. This is what the SEC means, right? It's not about the schedule. It's like how do you get there, and then that changes as the season evolves, right? Like when 3 weeks ago, this schedule looked easy. Now
Yeah.
you look at it, Georgia. You get punched in the mouth by Georgia. Vanderbilt's 5-2 and number 25 in the country. We'll talk about that here in a second.
Yep.
Florida with DJ Lagway starting to all of a sudden maybe get some momentum because Billy Napier needs to save his job.
Yep.
And then you go look at that. Right after that, you have Arkansas, you full circle, right? When Steve Sarkisian's first year, we didn't play well there. And now A&M is looking like a top 15 team in the country. We'll see how they do against LSU this weekend, right?
Yep. Which should be the game of the week this week, and not Oklahoma and Ole Miss.
Yeah. Sark says this and ad nauseum, and he said it last year after the loss to Oklahoma. Everything that we want is still in front of us.
Yep.
You could still win out and control your destiny, technically,
Yeah.
right? Because you just don't know what's going to happen in the SEC. Now, do you want some other things to happen to like make things easier? Absolutely. But it doesn't matter if you don't take care of your own business.
An Alabama and an LSU loss would be great.
Yeah.
If we're being completely honest, in a situation where everything is tight, and remember, you pulled up the record, everything in this situation is super close. Everybody's close. It's one team that's undefeated. That's A&M. Everybody else has got a loss. So you can go from.
There's two teams. LSU's undefeated too.
Oh yeah, LSU.
But that'll cancel each other out, right? Because they're
going to play each other. Yeah, so like you're going to run into a situation where you're either number one like A&M, or you run into a situation where if you lose, you can go from 2 to 7.
Yeah,
and you don't want to be in that situation. And again, like you said, with the continuation of the season and how things progress, you just want to make sure that you put yourself in a situation where you come out on top, you knock out your games, because everything else is going to eventually take care of itself. People are going to start eating away at each other in the month of November and December, because these games, they're going to eventually start playing each other. And when you run into a situation like that, you could run into a Florida, where they not only do they have DJ Lagway, but they could have an opportunity to get to the SEC championship because they pulled up a couple of upsets, and you've run into them in December. So all of this stuff is like very important.
There's still a lot of football to play.
Yeah.
And the thing that we did this last year as Longhorn fans. Well, what happens if this and this? You got to take in this conference. You have to take it 1 week at a time, because a game like an Vanderbilt tripping up over, beating an Alabama can happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee beats Georgia. All of a sudden, Georgia's not in the picture anymore, right? Now you have to worry about Tennessee, or Georgia beats Tennessee, and all of a sudden, if Georgia wins out, then this game at the end of the day, if Georgia wins out, could mean like a tiebreaker scenario. Let's just say Georgia loses. Then it doesn't matter, because you won't have to worry about playing Georgia, right? But now you have to worry about Tennessee. And if you look at the shout out to Chad Hastings, and he talked about this a couple of days ago on Orange Bloods. If you look at like the standings and like the tie-breaking scenarios, number one is conference record, obviously, right? You went out 1 loss, you're going to get over with somebody with 2 losses, but you don't you're not going to get in if Alabama A&M wins out, right? Yeah. That last game against A&M could be like, hey, Texas beats A&M. The winner of that game could go to the SEC championship game. We are heading towards that right now.
That's what it's looking like. Yeah.
If the second scenario is your record against like opponents, and if you look at the like opponents for A&M and Texas, they're Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I need to check.
Is Kentucky ranked?
Kentucky. Hold on, let me look at this. So Arkansas can. We don't play LSU. We don't play South Carolina.
We don't play Missouri.
And Texas A&M's already beaten Arkansas. Florida is the other one. Mississippi State.
Missouri.
Right? And that's it, right? And then you play each other.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Texas A&M is already 3-0 in those games.
Yeah.
So you basically have to win out, right? And then basically the last one would be head-to-head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And head-to-head, basically you win out, and let's just assume A&M wins out. There's an opportunity there that you win the tiebreaker by beating A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you'll have the same conference record, but you have the head-to-head over them, which will then also, factor into the whole thing. Which, newsflash, I don't think A&M's going undefeated in this conference.
No, I think they're.
I think they'll slip up. I think they lose this weekend.
They play at LSU this weekend?
No, they're at home. It's a night game at College Station.
Regardless, that's going to be a crazy game.
It's going to be a fun game to watch.
They may pull that one off. I don't know.
Let's address this question real quick from DJ. With Makuba going down, what's y'all's confidence level in Jelani McDonald holding it down for a while? I'm very confident in Jelani McDonald's ability. And here's the thing. He's a very good player. Jelani McDonald's he's developed really well. He played really well for Texas early in the season. So I guess and look, Vanderbilt for this week especially, it's not like Vanderbilt's world beaters. They're not world beaters in the air, right?
Yeah.
But so his big key is going to be can he do enough in the passing game to hold up, and then can he come down and be the big hitter that he is in the running game, which is how he plays, right? What I will say is the rest of this defense is good enough to where I think the running game is going to be really important this week. The run defense is because if you look at Vanderbilt, they're not they play fast, but they're not fast, right? They're looking for those third and shorts, right? So that they can use Pavia in a way to throw you off, right? That's going to be what they're looking for. They're going to be looking for the ability to use those option plays, the ability to have Pavia do keepers and sweep. A lot of the stuff Oklahoma did, but in much better short yardage positions, right?
Right.
And Texas defended that really well because it's all Oklahoma could do, right?
Yeah.
I think Eric Stowers is coming back this week. Who's the tight end for Vanderbilt? The really good tight end. Right. That's going to be a guy that you need to cover. He can wreck a game like he did against Alabama. Like he can easily wreck a game. They'll put him in. They'll put him at tight end.
He had a great game against Alabama.
They will spread him out. They'll put him up outside as a wide receiver. They'll put him inside. So they might show some different things. And you, as a defense, you just got to continue to stay locked in and prepared. The big thing for me is
that's a big kid.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
6'4",
really good.
He's really good. You know who he kind of reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of the tight end he just retired. Darren Waller. He reminds me of Darren Waller.
Oh, really?
He's like really like he'll get down and dirty. Like you can see him. He blocks a little bit, but out in space, dude, it's crazy.
He's really good. Yeah. No, that's a good comparison. So yeah, I mean, I think coming from the Georgia game, having watched it a little bit, two big keys. Quinn's got to play better. That's just that simple. And then the offensive line has to play better.
Do you think Quinn is still hurt?
I think everybody's hurt, but is he injured? I don't know.
Do you think that shot on Saturday?
I think it rattled him.
You think it? We can both agree that he was rattled, but do you think he was injured on that play? Because he took a shot. I mean, he got blasted.
He's taking a lot of shots. Listen, we know Quinn gets hurt a lot. He's also like a pretty tough dude. He's taking a lot of shots.
Yeah. I'm not knocking that. I again, now that I think about I just kind of think back, dog. It was so much happening. He was getting blasted.
Well, when Here's the thing about Georgia's defense. Like there was a play that I think it was the fumble where they were like showing a look where they might go back and drop back into the zone, and at the very last second, they shelled the cover, and then they brought in a double mug blitz. You remember that play?
Yeah.
Like Quinn has to be. So this is my thing about Quinn. And we've talked a lot about third year Quinn, third year freebies under Sark. Like I feel like those are things that Quinn should have seen. The corner blitzes that they brought post snap, he should have known that those things were going to. I feel like he was just. And Sark called this out like in his post game, and he said it again on Monday. Quinn just like looked lost at some points, right? And he just like basically what his head wasn't there. He just wasn't there.
Georgia's delayed blitzes were like perfect. Like
they were perfectly timed. Yeah.
Everything that you could think of that could happen in one game for a team happened defensively. For Georgia for them to send that many corners on blitzes like they did in that game, and most of the time you get 1, 2, 3. They did like 3 or 4. They did like 3 or 4. There was a nickel corner. He literally stood there, let the wide receiver run in front of him, and blitzed, and caused havoc on top of those defensive linemen that were causing havoc on those ends, especially on that right side.
A couple of things that Sark called out in those corner blitzes is like receivers were supposed to like run inside, right? And catch the inside leverage of some of those routes, and they didn't. Like they would go inside instead of outside. And so maybe Quinn was looking for one thing and something else happened. And so, yeah, I don't think it's all on Quinn, but I do think that it's Quinn's responsibility, right? At this level that we expect him as a third-year starter to say, hey, remember if you see that, like this is something you can call in the huddle, right? Like, we don't huddle up a lot, but this is something that you signal out to, or it's like, hey, I don't know what any of these words mean, but watch for this or watch for that or call this or look for this. I feel like the offensive line communication was not very good.
So that's on Jake Powers, the center. That's on Jake. That's on the offensive lineman to call. But again, it's very hard to call a delayed blitz. If they're doing delayed blitzes, most of the time you're already engaged.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult. What I would have liked to see what I would have liked to see Sark do is to have somebody on that weak side, on the weak side where he was getting ran through, just to have a running back on that weak side,
running back, a tight end, just like a little somebody that can just chip something. Right?
They didn't really bow up. They didn't go on a 12 personnel. They didn't go on a 13. They didn't do nothing. It's almost like he didn't adjust. And and again, we know that Sark is an offensive guru and he's gonna run what he's gonna run. But in that situation, especially that first half, it's like, dog,
something.
You got to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like
help your quarterback.
If what you're doing, help your quarterback. If what you're doing isn't working, go back to the basics, dog. Like,
well, there was even a play where Texas tried to run wide zone and Georgia blew it up, right? Because in some of those, there was a one wide zone that I remember seeing where I think the linebacker was supposed to peel off the left, or supposed to peel off of Banks, but he held his position. So you hold the end, and then the corner behind him maybe
he contained.
He contained, right? So now you're not at a weird angle to try to make a tackle. You're facing straight up, and you just come downhill, and that was one play. Like wide zone is something that this Texas team runs very well.
Yeah,
and they did not run it well because Georgia. Listen, hats off to Kirby Smart. We know Kirby Smart is a defensive guy. Man, that was a masterful defensive game plan, and they played it very, very well. Our defense played very well. I thought they played it, but even then, the defense played well enough. The average field, the problem was the turnovers and where they occurred, not necessarily the fact that they occurred. Georgia's average starting field possession, I think, was like 35.
That's really, really.
That's terrible.
Really.
Also,
really
Call it
impressive.
out.
For them
Let
to
me call
start
this
at the
out.
35, to start at the 35
Yeah.
and still only being able to put up 30 points, but the
It's crazy.
turnovers that they had
Yeah.
were on, bro.
Most of them were on our side of the field.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was
Yeah.
impressive. I thought honestly that could have been 40, 50 to
Easily.
like 10, 14, whatever the score was,
We
15.
should have blown out. We should have
Yeah,
been blown out.
it should have been, but that defense bowed up.
Yep.
Again, we did lose some guys. I don't like the fact that we lost Makuba, but again, Jelani McCord, McDonald, sorry, is going to be a great fill-in. He likes to hit people. We saw that at the Colorado State. We saw that in some of the UTSA game. Also, that's a Conley High School alumni. So, for whatever reason, they getting those guys out of there. They've been looking really good. Those guys that they have been selected. So shout out to them for going in there again. Another Austin kid coming out and showing out, man.
All righty, Tim. Let's flip the script. It's time to talk about Vanderbilt. And really where I want to focus in with Vanderbilt is Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
Arguably their best player. He's very, very good. He's the New Mexico kid that transfers into Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Their coach has turned this program around in 4 years. This is his fourth year as well as Vanderbilt. And this is the type of change you would hope to see in a program 4 years in, right? He's like, hey, I think I'm a quarterback away. He went and got his guy to run his offense, and it's worked out really well for them, right?
Yep.
They played well. Obviously, you beat Alabama. You then come out, you take care of business the 2 weeks after that. They did lose to Georgia Southern, so it'd be very interesting to see what Sark pulls from that game to see how they struggled. This offense is not. The defense is not very good, right? I think they're like 90th in the country. They give up almost They give up almost 30 points a game. So there's some opportunities for the offense to have a bounce back game. But their offense is very good, and it's very good in a different way where the focus is not necessarily they're not going to, run up and down the field with you, but they are going to try to get in like second and third and shorts and use Pavia and his strengths and Alexander in the backfield and his power to get first downs and keep drives running. So the interior of this defensive line, the linebacker play is going to be very important this week. The tackling is going to be very important. If you get an opportunity to tackle a guy in the backfield, you're going to have to make those tackles.
Yep. And
Texas missed some tackles last week, which is also rare for this team.
Yeah. For this year's team, yes. With Pavia, my thing about Pavia is that this is a game where you can play yourself on the map. You
haven't already.
If you haven't already, this is an opportunity. Again, I talked about this ad nauseum on Sunday. And I talked about it. I've talked about it in the Oklahoma game. I've talked about it in the Georgia game. Like, there's an opportunity for somebody to step up and to make a play, to make a difference. Because again, I don't see this game being a complete blowout, and we'll get to predictions, but especially in the first half, all it takes is one person to make a play, one person to get a tackle, one person to make a catch, one person to rip off a run. Like, and then it goes through. I'm not saying that just for Vanderbilt. I'm saying that for Texas as well. One interception, one sack, can turn the tide for you in a situation like this. Vanderbilt is going to come out swinging. Vanderbilt is going to give it all that they got. They look at Texas. I feel that they would look at Texas as a wounded dog. They literally just got into 2 dog fights within 2 weeks. They've got some injuries, some key injuries, and they're coming into your town. And that is
You got a sold-out crowd.
You got a sold-out
crowd.
That's a big opportunity, to come in and step on one of the big dogs that have staked their claim in the SEC for the first year. And again, we knew this coming in the beginning. We stated that, hey, like, Texas is going to run into some situations where they run into some guys that are going to start swinging. They're going to be swinging because they're new to the conference, and this is going to be their welcome to the SEC moment. Every team is going to give them that. Georgia did it first. They just so happen to do it first.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to the A&M fan who went to the volleyball game yesterday with the Texas shirt. We appreciate you. Thank you for the exposure.
That has been the funniest thing on Twitter for the past 3 days.
It's actually pretty. It's funny that he did it, and it's funny that the fact that he did it was funny.
The fact that somebody was able to recognize him enough to take a picture at the volleyball game is crazy.
And it's funny that funny that he did it, but it's not as funny that Texas loses their first SEC game. That sucks. So,
again, volleyball is a long season, man. That was a long, hard fought game. But A&M
was down 2-1.
Yeah, listen. Again, you're gonna get the best of the best out of the people, even the little brother. Nobody expected them to go in there and to lose in the fashion that they lost in, but A&M rallied back. I was able to watch some of that, but you live and you learn. They'll play them again. They're gonna play them again. So look forward to that. Hopefully they can bounce back and continue on in their dominant fashion. They've had some hiccups this year, but they're still up there when it comes to like being one of the top programs in the country.
The home field advantage, the home court advantage we've been able to create at Gregory Gym is insane.
Gregory Gym.
I want to go, and I want to go to a volleyball game.
Gregory Gym be rocking, dog. That
was packed.
It's really dope to see because as a fan, like as a UT fan of the football program, you start paying attention to everything that's going on like around it. Like we're not only just fans of UT, we're fans of UT sports in general. So all things UT, right? That's what we talk about all year, right? When you see these other programs start putting on a show, dog, you're like, all right, this should inspire the football team to want to do some things. You know what I'm saying? You got back-to-back national championships with the Texas women's volleyball. The track team has been dominant. The swim team I've never seen anything like 25 championships within the last like 30 years or something like that. They win all the time. They're always sending somebody to the Olympics, stuff like that. The softball team has been phenomenal within the last 5 to 10 years. So is the baseball team. Even though they've had some up and downs, they've rebounded very well. And so when you start to see that, man, you want to get in on that, man. I want the football team to want to get in on that.
Also, shout out to this guy. I don't know if he's watching or if he follows us, but this guy is now a legend.
He is a legend, dog.
He was at the volleyball game yesterday. And Kyle basically said, hey, if you see this guy in Nashville tomorrow, buy him a beer and escort him out of the Vanderbilt Stadium. So
that hairstyle was crazy.
That's awesome, man. His hair is great.
He looks like an 80s teen mom.
I have a big old bald spot, so I can definitely borrow some of this hair.
No, what are you talking about? It's a little struggle right here, bro.
Yeah, right here, bro.
Struggling right here.
Yeah, me too. Same. And let me borrow some hair, bro. But anyway, what do you want to call out with the Texas offense? Like, what are some things that you'd like to see?
Just establish.
Before you do that, I want to address something real quick.
Go ahead, do your thing.
I posted a tweet earlier this week, and I didn't get the reaction that I thought I would get.
Right.
It was about, the whole Arch and Quinn and Sark situation.
Yep, I do remember that. You got a lot of background for it. Got a lot of background.
And it's okay. I'm all right. So Sark basically said Sark is waiting to pull the final straw on Quinn Ewers. His ego will not allow it. He knows at this point at year 4, it's going all in on Quinn that he can't afford to have Quinn go to not go to the NFL. He knows what it means if he doesn't get the job done. He also knows that it's he also knows that it would do to his personal ego and confidence. I want to let me break down what I'm talking about, right?
Right. Yeah, do your thing.
Sark is Quinn's guy, or Quinn is Sark's guy, right? He is going to do anything and everything that he can to get Quinn into the NFL.
Right.
Because he has put all his chips into Quinn, he's not going to pull him, or he's not going to give up on him unless it is absolutely necessary.
Can I ask you a question here? Can I stop you right here? Should he give up on Quinn this easily?
No, he shouldn't.
I don't think so either. That's just me.
Yeah. It's not me saying that I prefer Arch over Quinn. I don't prefer Arch over Quinn because if you look at Arch Manning when he went into the game, remember that throw that he throws to the tight end in triple coverage? Guess who was wide open in the middle of the field that Arch could have seen? A wide receiver. Nobody was covering him on an in route. Arch is not ready for this stage yet, right? And it's not saying that he won't be, or he won't be with more reps. But Arch wasn't any better than Quinn. And Quinn comes in the third quarter and he takes him out. I will say two things. Sark is not willing to give up on Quinn because of all the investment that he's put into him at this point.
Yeah.
Number two, Sark understands what that means if he has to pull Quinn one more time. He understands what it means.
You can't put him back in.
Over. And so that's kind of what I was getting to is like, it's not that I was picking Quinn. I'm still a Quinn guy. I've been all Quinn all the time. I love Quinn Ewers. I think he's a great player. But I do think that Sark, as we get deeper and deeper into the season and we're getting into the heart of the season, Sark at some point is going to say, okay, it's the team over Quinn at some point. And if Quinn isn't getting the job done, I've got to figure out something different. And he doesn't want to do that.
Right.
And he's trying to do everything that he can to not get to that point. Because if Arch goes in one more time, let's just say the offense goes deadbeat again this week and Arch is back in, it's done. It's over. He's not.
I feel the same way you do. Again, I told you while this was happening, it wasn't the fact that Quinn was playing bad. Quinn wasn't doing his best, but at the same time, they needed to get a different look. They were just getting demolished, and I understand why Sark was like, "All right, let's get this guy out here. Let's see what he can do. Meanwhile, let's try to talk to this QB, see what's going on, see what he's seeing, and then go from there." I told you he was still going to. We will see him again, and we did.
Yeah.
You can't I have no doubt that Sark believes that Quinn can get the job done. I believe Quinn believes.
I believe he can get the job done.
I believe Quinn believes that he can get the job done. Yeah, I still believe that Quinn thinks that he can get the job done. However, in the instance that he is not able to get the job done at whatever game, and he has to go to Arch, it ain't no coming back. It ain't. Because if he comes in and Arch is hot, you gotta ride the hot hand. This is the same. It won't be a QB battle. And I hope Sark wouldn't let that go out in a long way. And I hope that Quinn would understand, hey, I'm not playing my best right now for whatever reason. Let's ride it till the wheels fall. It's almost like a Major Applewhite, Chris Sims type situation. I
think it's a little different though, right? Because I don't think Matt Brown ever committed to one guy over the other, right? I think that just kind of out to be like,
that money made him pick Quinn over Major. I mean, that money and that booster money coming in made Sims start over Applewhite when Applewhite was the better quarterback.
Oh, yeah. So there's that. There's that. But then the thing about Quinn and Arch is the Mannings aren't going to come in and say, "Hey, you got to start my guy." That's not. I'm
not saying that. I'm just saying from the standpoint of Matt rode Chris Sims until he couldn't.
Right.
I don't know if you remember this. He swapped them out in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, in the middle of the game.
Major comes back in, does what he's got to do. They get very close to winning that Big 12 championship. They fall short by, I think, less than 3 points. It might have been 3 points, but they fall short. I think if they get Major in there in the beginning, you got yourself a Big 12 championship and a key to the national championship, because that year they would have went to the national championship, but they didn't. Again, I think it's another. I think that situation alone is kind of the same thing. You're in a situation where you can get somewhere really, really far. You got all the talent, things are working in your favor. Of course, you have a bump in the road. Who doesn't? But you have a situation where you can do some real damage as long as your quarterback plays straight. And I think do I think the fuse or the leash is shorter on Quinn
Yes.
by a
I think it's
couple of
shorter
miles?
at this point.
Not super crazy, but I think it is shorter. Like he might look to that sideline and be like, suit up. Well, not suit up, but like make sure your arm is warm. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a situation like that. Do I think Quinn will have another game like this? No, I don't. I don't think that this
I
will
don't
be.
know, man. I didn't think he would have a game like this last week, and it's been 2 straight weeks.
But we know
Here's the thing.
but we knew what Georgia was going to do. We
We
knew that
did, I
Georgia
get it. But even then, I thought this offense was good enough to do something to counter that, right? They've got the weapons, they've got the personnel to do something, and they just couldn't, regardless of who the quarterback was.
could we simply just be overlooking the fact that that offense might have went in there thinking that they were going to just bully Georgia around and not understand that they were going to get punched in the mouth and they didn't know how to respond?
Yes.
I think that again, I think there's a perfect storm of all of that. I think they went in there not on some cocky stuff, but I definitely think that they were going to win the ball game, and you should think that you're going to win the ball game. But
yeah, but
even
here's the thing. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
you know what you just told me. They reminded me of like what Stark says all the time is like play with emotion, but don't get too emotional. I think they got really emotional last week. And I think they got really emotional in the sense of like the negative feeling.
I don't think they had enough emotion.
Well, I think emotion in like the opposite direction. They're like not getting too high, but they got too low.
I didn't see Quinn get up in anybody's face, and not in I don't mean that in a mean way.
Yeah, you're never going to see that from Quinn. It's just not who he is.
But sometimes you got to step outside. You got to step outside your comfort zone, dog, and get in somebody's face and be like, "Look, I need y'all to bow up for me, dog. Yeah. We are getting handy. You got to bow up."
Yeah, man. A lot of Texas fans want that from him.
That's the one time. That's the one time.
You know it's not going to happen.
I know, but still, dog, it's that one time where you be like, "Listen, dog, I need y'all to come with it, dog. Like, come on, step up." You can say the same thing with like for instance with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. CeeDee Lamb walked over and like, "No, you need a high ball, do something, throw me a high ball." It's not the fact of like getting in somebody's face, but like being verbal. They were sitting. Both Quinn and Arch were sitting on the bench.
Oh, we saw that.
Goes.
So now you can look forward to like, and from Arch's perspective, it's probably like, I'll probably get a couple series in here. We'll just see. You know, I think Arch's body language might have been different if he did something right and the offense was moving. Let's just say they score with Arch.
Mm-hmm. Different.
Quinn's not coming back in that game.
No, they're gonna ride the hot hand.
And then he's done. Like he had an opportunity to start his story early against Georgia.
Yeah.
Like let's not sit here and act like Arch was better because he was actually, in my opinion, he was terrible. I thought Arch was worse. Honestly.
Yeah. Arch was bad. Arch showed that he was not ready for that game.
Yeah,
but in the meantime and in between time, there's no quarterback battle. There's no quarterback controversy. He just threw Arch in there to try to get something different out of there. Maybe see if he can get a score or two out of it. It didn't work, and Quinn went back in to finish the game. That's it. That's it. To close out, at Vanderbilt Saturday. Did we get a time? Did we get an official time?
3:15.
3:15. Okay, 3:15 Eastern Standard Time. So that's was that?
Oh, it's 3:15 our time.
3:15 our time. Okay, so 3:15 our time. I want to say it's probably going to be on ESPN.
I think this is on SEC Network.
Is it?
Yeah, because I don't think they flexed it out because, I mean, at the time that they scheduled it, Vanderbilt wasn't good.
Vanderbilt wasn't. Okay, so okay.
On SEC Network.
On the SEC Network. Okay, cool. So you got number 25th ranked Vanderbilt, number 5 Texas coming in. Vanderbilt not really good at passing. They throw just over 200 yards. they're okay in running. They allow a lot of points. They allow 33 points. That's not good a game. Texas can put up 40, 50 points very easily. Again, what I expect from Texas on this game, establish the run, show some offensive dominance. The defense continue to play lights out like y'all have been doing. Make sure that you tackle, wrap up, and just make sure that you do what Georgia did to you, which is go in there, punch these guys in the face, and run the ball effectively, get out of there, no injuries, so that you can regroup. Try to get this game over as early as possible. Like, try to put up as many points as fast as possible. Of course, being in control, but putting up those points as fast as possible. My prediction for this game, I got Vanderbilt 17. I got Texas 35. I think
we're really close.
I got Texas coming in. I got Texas coming in, running the ball, establishing some dominance in the second half. I think they come in guns blazing. I think they put the ball in the air. And then that second half, it's all about ground and pound, getting these running backs, some shares, getting anybody who can run the ball, getting them fed, feeding them, and then and getting out of there. That's what I see.
Okay. Yeah, I got Texas winning 38-17.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, very similar score, but I think it's close for a long way of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I find it very similar to the Mississippi State game, where Texas might not have a lot of possessions in that first half because Vanderbilt's really going to try to control the clock. But then the defense gets the stops they need. And then, the offense will come out. I think the offense will come out scoring quickly. And then they do what the offense does.
I think
you get a defensive touchdown.
The two touchdowns that I have when I'm thinking about Vanderbilt scoring is in the second half when they're facing the second and the third teams. I don't see them.
I see them scoring early too. I can see them scoring like maybe in the middle of the second quarter, and that's just on a long drive because look, Vanderbilt leads the SEC in third down conversion. I think it's like 53% or something crazy.
That's good. That's really good.
So over half that's going to be the key to the game for this defense is can you get Vanderbilt off the field, especially on third and shorts because that's where they excel, and they try to do that a lot. So can you get them off the field on third down is the key to this game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, all right, sir. Well, we got to get out of here. Any final thoughts that you have?
No, man. Again, just make sure that I just want to make sure that these guys understand that, like, just get in there, handle business, and get out of there, man. They've got a hell of a schedule coming up here. Yep. From not a Vanderbilt standpoint, but they got some stuff. They got Vanderbilt, they got Florida, and they're going to be at Florida. They're going to be at Arkansas. I'm sorry, Florida will be here. They got to be at Arkansas at 11 a.m. I don't understand why they made that an 11 a.m. game. I guess because
I'm happy they made that an 11 a.m. game because I hate night games at Arkansas.
Night games at Arkansas is nuts. And then they got Kentucky and A&M. So this we're in the second half now. This is it. This is the beginning of the second half. Just execute, dominate, and get out of there, dog. And then
get out of there, go into the bye week, get some rest, and then you get the final push.
Yeah.
There's only 5 games left in the season.
Yeah, and it's gonna go by quick,
just like the first 8 or the first 7. So,
but what is
where can the people find you?
You can find me at Tim Wayne. Let's talk football. Let's talk college sports football. There was a massive update that came out. Shout out to them for putting those FIU jerseys in there. The Miami Night those look really dope. The Air Force jerseys looking really good. Shout out to Air Force and Army. Navy and Air Force. Navy and Army going undefeated. They could if they do their thing, they might end up in the playoffs. So that'd be very interesting. Well, where can
I just saw the new FIU jerseys. Oh, the new UCF jerseys look so sick.
Bro, they're so good. They're so good. Shout out to put the Miami Knights jersey, the blackout jersey. I'm not a fan of Adidas, but that black, it looks really good. Um,
All white
yeah,
BYU jersey, the all black
mhm.
Purdue jerseys. Oh man, this looks sick. The all
They
black.
finally gave A&M their all white jersey. I don't know what took them so long to
Okay.
do that. That was weird. That was wild.
A&M's all white jerseys look like ass, just like.
Hey man, that's all in. Where can they find you, dog?
And you can find me at the Uncle Gandhi. Of course, find us on Twitter at LH Fan Battle, where I don't care about who you are, don't care how many followers you got, I don't care who you support.
Yep.
If you say something stupid, I'm going to call you out for it, and we're going to have an argument about it. Don't hit me up in the DMs crying about it either.
Oh, you ain't got to do that, bro. He ain't said nothing in a couple of days, dog.
He just said something like 10 minutes ago before we got on the air.
Well, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. So,
well, to be fair, like I was kind of joking with him. He was like, "Well, I was watching the A&M volleyball game." I was like, "Why are you tweeting on a Texas football game or volleyball game?" He's like, "Well, I was watching the A&M volleyball game." Well, this isn't the A&M volleyball game, buddy. This is the Texas volleyball channel, right? So we'll find somewhere else. So shout out to our guy, Aggie Recruiting.
Aggie Recruiting, man.
Good guy. He's a good guy. We have fun.
There's some epic battles between the channels.
That is what it's all about. So hey, between now, but enjoy the game on Saturday. But in the meantime, in between time, my name is Harish. My guy Tim Wayne. Out of here. Peace.
Till Gabriel.
Go home, touchdown like an end zone.